So it is now just about midnight on what is still Friday, March 7th, 2025. I've been lying here for 4 hours trying to sleep. I am absolutely exhausted. My voice is barely coming out, and I've been getting electronically assaulted and literally cooked alive by the Greenville group and their psycho trash psychopath, Jasmine Irizarry, for 4 days now. I've been reporting in dozens of emails and phone calls for the last few days to the Greenville group that Irizarry has resumed her use of a directed energy device to electronically assault me while I'm lying on my bed. This is something that Irizarry itself, that perving, creeping psycho pig, has admitted multiple times in writing to using. So again, as I keep saying, when the person that you suspect is doing something flat out comes out and publicly writes on social media that that is exactly what they're doing, and then they provide details that are accurate about what they're doing that nobody else could possibly know, then you're right. Then you don't even need to prove your case. They proved it for you. Not only is it time to sue the Greenville group for criminal harassment, landlord-tenant harassment is illegal in Massachusetts anyway, but criminal harassment is a deliberate infliction of harm upon a tenant by a landlord, right? Like blasting the heat for 4 days and refusing to turn it down, like shutting off the heat for days and refusing to turn it back on, like turning off the hot water for days and refusing to turn it back on, like housing sex offenders and psychopaths in all of the adjacent units to yours, and then permitting those sex offenders and psychopaths to constantly engage in violent aggression, attempts at physical assault, electronic use of surveillance devices and harassment devices, then that landlord is criminal. Your landlord is not a landlord. They're simply a criminal group. Another group that I need to look into suing is the Department of Mental Health for unleashing an unholy shitstorm of perving, creeping psycho trash onto the community via the Greenville Group's building complex. This entire building complex, as far as I can tell, has turned from being a fairly normal housing situation, as it was when I moved in 2011, to a holding pen for some extremely dangerous and repeat sex offenders like Jasmine Irizarry, Jason DaCosta, Charles Thomas, and Wenner Rodriguez, and a bunch of others. They're not all sex offenders, but many of them are, including Irizarry, including DaCosta, including Charles Thomas, including Mark Collins, including Michael Collins, all of whom lived in Unit 88 or 78. Irizarry has lived in 78 for over 10 years, continues to live in this building. Now I think she lives in 76. I'm not sure who's in 78. There's somebody who's intermittently in and out of 78. Maybe it's a member of the maintenance team that's kind of staying in that unit for a few days a week. There's not somebody in there all the time. So Irizarry continues to access 78 when it's vacant and engages in the same exact identical behavioral thumbprint of psychotic, aggressive, obsessive stalking that is surveillance-based now, as she did during the 10 years that she was officially and verifiably housed in Unit 78. Irizarry also claims to be a BLM activist, and that's probably why she's getting away with literally attempted murder. When you use a directed energy device that you yourself admit to using on somebody, you can literally kill them. The ongoing and protracted use of a directed energy device, which is an electronic assault weapon, can cause all kinds of health problems that have deadly side effects. Okay? So you're literally electrocuting somebody slowly and on a lower scale than if they were literally sticking their finger in an electric socket, but the exact same phenomenon is happening. You're electronically assaulting someone, not by using a electrical plug, but by using a device that concentrates electromagnetic output into a directed stream. For the stupid, rejected psychos who hate stalk my channel and are so mentally deficient, it's embarrassing to see their ignorant, pathetically stupid, illogical comments. You're so stupid, you should go jump off a cliff. And here's how you know if you're stupid. You do not understand technology, right? You don't know that certain types of technology that are already widely used even exist. That's how you know you're stupid. RFID scanners are a thing. They've been a thing for a while now. So have directed energy devices. But the low-life psycho trash who hate stalk my channel don't even understand what a directed energy device is or what it does. They don't even think that those devices are out there or that they can possibly be used. Of course they can be used. Anybody can make their own. Just go on YouTube. Just go on the internet. Google it, you fucking retards. That's sad. So back to DMH. Once again, the Department of Mental Health of Massachusetts is responsible for, and I'm going to say this again, unleashing an unholy shitstorm of perving, creeping, masturbating psycho trash onto the community via the Greenville Group's housing complex. How irresponsible for the Department of Mental Health to house large numbers of severely disturbed, unmonitored, repeat offenders in a single building complex. No community can absorb that type of psycho trash in those large amounts and remain a normal community that is safe. This is not a safe community. It's not even a community. It's a holding pen for sex offender psycho trash. And by psycho trash, I am not referring to legitimate, honest people who are struggling with things like anxiety disorders, depression, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive hand washing, and who are seeking help. I'm talking about the masturbating, raping, child molesting, BLM psycho filth that do all those things under the banner of BLM activism. You don't believe me? They're using surveillance devices in my bathroom, and they're justifying that under the banner of BLM activism. Approximately, 8 years ago, a group of BLM activist residents who live in this building, but are really just a bunch of sex offenders, including, once again, Charles Thomas, went to the police station and claimed that I was a white supremacist. They claimed that I was being racist towards them. That's weird because I don't even talk to these pieces of shit, not because of their skin color, but because of their behavior. Because anybody with half a brain can spot these sex offending, perving, creeping psychos a mile away. But they think, stupidly, that it has something to do with their skin color, being too retarded to attribute anything to their behavior. Smart people know nothing has anything to do with skin color. Skin color has nothing to do with anything. It's as stupid as the color of somebody's shoes or what color their car is, right? But you can't tell that to the BLM sex offenders who think that women owe them favors and are racist for not wanting to provide them with these favors. So they went to the police station, told the police that I was a white supremacist and that I should be investigated. And guess what? The next thing you know, there's surveillance devices in my bathroom that nobody's doing anything about, but everybody admits are there. And then I get aggressively harassed by a fat, perving pig like Jasmine Irizarry, who's so disgusting that even the first time I even saw her, I wanted to vomit. There was something about that piece of shit that made me just want to just throw up. And I was right. Because not only is she a perving, creeping, wanking sex offender, she's also a psychopath who tries to kill people. And ironically, I worked with some members of her therapy team at the Shattuck Hospital back when I was a PhD student, doing a clinical internship at the Shattuck Hospital in 2006. So DMH is a joke. They should be held liable and responsible for the aggressive, assaultive behavior of the psycho trash, wanking, perving, creeping sex offenders who they unleash onto the community very irresponsibly and without any type of monitoring. That is criminal as well. So not only do I need to file a criminal harassment lawsuit against the Greenville Group for literally inflicting deliberate harm upon me constantly in the form of landlord-tenant harassment using a psychopath who clearly can't think straight, but also the Department of Mental Health for doing the exact same thing, because DMH is leasing some of the units in this building, even though I was told it's a building that is reserved for people who work and pay rent out of pocket. Well, they're lying, and they're putting not just myself at risk, but other tenants as well. And when a psycho trash piece of shit like Jasmine Irizarry brags about using a directed energy device to electronically assault me on social media, that is a direct responsibility of the Department of Mental Health and the Greenville Group, all of which are obviously allowing this to happen. And they don't care if Irizarry tries to kill people, but they will be responsible for any kind of physical harm that comes to me or anybody else as a result of Jasmine Irizarry's psychotic, obsessive use of electronic devices to surveil people in their bathrooms, not just my bathroom, but obviously common bathrooms in this building as well. And obviously to use a directed energy device because obviously she has made some very obvious written statements bragging about her use of that device on social media, which is so obvious. It's obvious that she's a stupid piece of psychopath shit that obviously brags about her obvious criminal activities and her obvious use of a directed energy device. And obviously the Greenville Group and the Department of Mental Health are obviously responsible for unleashing these pieces of psycho filth onto the community. And again, by psycho filth, I don't mean people who are legitimately seeking help for their mental health issues and who want to get better. I'm talking about these disgusting, perving, creeping, raping, child molesting pieces of filth that DMH just dumps onto the community via the Greenville Group. And the Greenville Group then refuse to do anything to address their behavior, but are very happy to take the rent money anyway. Criminal slumlord, anyone? You know I'm right. I always am.